The water is not in the way, but it's there to remind you of what I'm going to share with you, which I think could transform your pitching. And remember, if you'd like to see more of these videos to help you learn in a more natural and enjoyable way, do remember to subscribe and follow. Now, what we're going to talk about here is we're going to talk about how you actually get into the setup to allow the mechanics that you need to be able to pitch the ball successfully. Pitching is a very precise thing. That club has got to travel up and down precisely, strike exactly where you want to on the ground with the ball in order to play the shot you want. Any miscue, and we know it can be quite dramatic in the result. There's one particular thing about your setup which I'm going to explain to you, which if you get right, really can help you develop the mechanics. You see, something that's often forgotten. We're so used to hearing about turning, and sometimes turning our chest through to the target and things like that could be very useful for you. However, what it can sometimes stop you doing is the realization that actually my body needs to go up and down a little bit in order to pitch the shots well, because the club needs to travel up and down. Therefore, one side of my body must be going down a little bit, one must be going up, as well as the rotation that's going on. But the up and down part can get forgotten. However, the good news is by one small change in your setup, which will take a little bit of practice and getting used to, with that one change, you can start to get those mechanics to happen a little bit more naturally. And it already comes down to your pelvis and your hips. You see, the angle, so if you think of my pelvis is really kind of my belt line here, if you think of it here, if it's too horizontal here, and I sit back a little bit, which is quite easy to fall into the trap of doing, I end up with a very rotational movement, or I'm more likely to get that. That's why that's not a great position. However, if I can get into my hips, it's really called a hip hinge. If I can hinge into my hips correctly here, what you'll see now is the angle of my pelvis has changed. Now, automatically, because of that, I've got far more chance as I swing to be going down a little bit on the left, up a little bit on the right, and then reversing that as I'm coming through. Now, we don't really want to be thinking about that too much, which is why if we get the setup right, that should begin to happen. But like any change, sometimes it takes a little bit of time to get used to it. And actually, when you feel those new movements going on, you've got to relax about it and not chase them, okay? So here is an analogy which I find incredibly useful to be able to get the right position. So you don't even need a club in your hands to begin with. If you used to stand feet hip width apart, and you can practice this at home, it's actually a great thing for your body anyway, for your back, for your hamstrings, for your hip. It's really good for you, okay? So from that position there, with your feet hip width apart, what I want you to do is to think of your pelvis here. It's a nice big bony structure, like a basin, effectively here, okay? And all you're going to do is imagine it's got water in it, and you're going to tip the water out of the front of your pelvis here. So what you're going to do is you're going to tip from there, okay? So the only bit I'm trying to move is the pelvis and the hips, and I'm tipping it there to pour the water out. That's why we've got the water here, as a mental reminder for you of this particular tip, okay, to pour it out there. Now notice again, it's all coming from the hip. Look what's happened to my spine. My spine has naturally come forward, but it's still nice and relatively straight, my spine. It's a nice neutral position. Here's the difference. If I don't use my hips, I get to the ball by bending my back. Now there's lots of other complications that comes with that as well, but I have not put my pelvis and my hips in a great position to be able to get that nice up and down movement. All right, so I'm really big on you not thinking. It's all about feel. Always remember the mantra, feel, don't think. That movement I've just shown you at home, tipping the water out your pelvis, practice that at home. What you may find, by the way, if it's new to you, you may find, oh my word, my hamstrings are coming online. I can feel them engaging. That's fantastic. It's going to be good for your back in the long run. So don't stay there too long. Practice it, coming out of it a few times, get used to it. Feel those hamstrings coming online. And once you've got used to it, then just go ahead and kind of make the swing in a normal way. But don't be surprised if you feel a little more compact, you feel like that you do get a slight height change, as I said, in the body there. And hopefully, with that setup there, if we get into that setup there, then you should find you just start to get some nice crisp strikes. And there she goes, pretty much up to the flag, okay? I enjoy that, I like it. It's a lovely feeling because you do feel very controlled. So just find the hips, tip the water out, and then from there. That one wasn't struck quite as well, but it's still a decent shot. Because you get the up and down movement going on, you'll tend to find your margin for error increases as well, all right? Hope you found that useful. And remember, if you are interested in seeing more of these videos, follow and subscribe, and also let me know how you get on. Does it work for you? Have any feedback, comments, things you'd like me to cover? Then just let me know in the comments section below. Thank you.